Hello and welcome. My name is Hayden Falzon from falzonfantasy.com, and today I'm going to be talking to you about why I believe that drawing is so important to 3D artistry. Like a lot of you, I began my journey into the realm of 3D through my drawings. I was an avid drawer all through high school and primary school. I love to draw. I still love to draw. It's a fantastic pastime. But that's not the reason as to why it's so great for us 3D artists. And that reason stems from the weaknesses of the realm of 3D. One of the main problems with 3D is the amount of time things take. You first have to plan out what you're going to model, then you actually have to model it, and usually that begins with doing a very basic rough out, using only primitives. Perhaps you go straight into sculpting. But either way, the creation process takes an incredibly long time, which is shown every time we watch an animated film. Have you seen how long the credits are? Yet more and more we're seeing the rise of generalism across the board in the industry, as well as the rise of independent 3D content creators. The problems faced by both these factions, the independent and the industrial factions, is time. And I think I could warrant a guess and say that time is against all of us in some way or another. Because the art form takes an incredibly long time from start to finish, it also, in turn, takes an incredibly long time to learn. I have been learning this craft since, goodness, I cannot actually remember. It was a long, long time ago. But it was born out of my desire to tell stories. Stories that spanned in far greater scope than I could ever hope to achieve through the digital camera. And because it takes such a long time to learn, it can be quite an overwhelming task for any artist to finally get to a point where they're happy with where they're at with the skill in a relatively short amount of time. Like all skills, it can only be improved through practice. In music, there is this idea of étude, which means to study. And it's a musical form where a composer usually will create a song that focuses on one particular element. And it's very repetitive, and it does this over and over again so that composer can become quite proficient at that technical skill. 3D does not lend itself very well to this ideology of repetitive practice over and over again until we get to a level of proficiency that we are happy with. For example, if you wish to test your texturing skills, a lot of people, what they'll do is they will make a model and then UV unwrap it and then texture it. Not only are you wasting your time with other things that you may already be very good at, but you are only going to be able to practice texturing far fewer amount times than you would have otherwise if you had just got a model off the internet and then textured that. And this finally brings me to one of my primary points as to why I believe that drawing is so important to our skill as a 3D generalist. Through drawing, we can study form, we can study color, we can study shade and texture very, very, very quickly. It is the etudes of art. Instead of being bound by polygons and poly count, and we are having to UV unwrap something in order to texture it, we are just bound to 2 dimensions rather than an overly complicated 3. Do you want to study form and design? That's very simple. A piece of paper and a pencil will serve you just fine. And you can churn out lots and lots and lots of content very, very quickly. So like the composers of old, we'll be learning the fundamentals of design and art and color very, very quickly at an accelerated rate. Now, of course, I'm not saying that if you're a fantastic illustrator or sketcher or drawer or painter, you're going to jump straight into 3D and you're going to be a master at it straight away. No, of course. I was a little more than okay at drawing, and when I jumped into 3D for the first time, I didn't even know how to move the cube. Drawing has, and still does, teach me a great many things about art that I have applied to my work as a 3D artist. And it is because of this that I have eventually started to believe that drawing is such a important skill that every person who dabbles in 3D should at least, well, dabble in. But if you don't want to draw, I feel that you can still take something away from this video. And that is, when you are practicing something or you want to practice something in 3D, try and cut a lot of what you don't need to do out. So if you do want to texture something, try and get a model off one of the many websites that has already been UV unwrapped and retopologized, and then just get to it. Don't waste your time with unnecessary things that you may have already practiced a lot. The more of something that we do, the better we get at it. And I think this is because the more of something we do, we proportionally have made more mistakes doing that. And the more mistakes we make, the more we learn. So my thinking is, if we make mistakes more quickly, then our learning is going to accelerate. For those of you who are still here listening to me, thank you so much. I would love to hear what you think of all this. What's your take on it? Do you disagree? Do you agree? And I would also like to ask, how did you begin your journey into 3D? Like, what was the catalyst? Do you remember what it was? And finally, we're at the end of the video. If you've enjoyed it and you've learnt something, or it's given you something to think about, please give this video a like. And if you'd like to see more content like this and other tutorials and time lapses, please consider subscribing to my channel, as it will help me out tremendously. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Hayden Falzon from falzonfantasy.com, signing off.